What's going on, YouTube? You guys are watching Boxing Talk with Shaka Waka, man. What's going on with everybody? Yo, y'all know what today is, and y'all know what tomorrow is. So, we got Spence Jr. versus Danny Garcia, and I'm excited, man. I done listened to all the interviews, all the back and forth with Angel Garcia and blah, blah, blah. And I watched the weigh-in, and I finally have my final prediction. But before I get into that, I want to say thank you to everybody who comes and likes and comments on my videos. Shout out to all my subscribers and shout out to the whole LDBC, man. Y'all are the real ones. Now let's go ahead and speak on this, man. So, like I said, we got Spence Jr. versus Danny Garcia tomorrow, and this shit is about to thump. Okay, this shit is about to answer a whole lot of unanswered questions about Spence Jr. and some about Danny Garcia as well. This is exciting because this is when the best fight the best, when you really don't know what can happen. You don't know what the outcome is going to be because anything can happen in boxing. Now, I've been hearing all this shit about what Angel Garcia has been saying about Spence Jr. He doesn't think Spence Jr. is 100%. He thinks that his team isn't caring for him. They just trying to get the money. Man, I don't believe any of that shit, man. I think everybody is grateful to have Spence Jr. here after that car accident. When I say everybody, I'm talking about Spence Jr.'s team. Derek James and his father. I'm saying they're grateful because they could have lost him. They could have lost somebody they love. And you could tell when Derek James talks about Spence Jr., he cares about Spence Jr. That it is what it is. He cares about his fighters. You can tell when he speaks about them. You can tell that he believes in Spence Jr. Likewise, when Spence talks about Derek James and his father. So I don't think that's true. Being 100%, yo, we will have to see on fight night. We will have to see on fight night. I'm not sure if he 100%. I'm going to say he is. Because just like how Derek James and his father are grateful that he's here, I think he's grateful to be here himself. And he's not going to play himself like that. You know what I'm saying? If the man needed more time, I think he would have said it. But we know Spence Jr. as a person has tons of grit. So he's going to bite down and train hard and get to where he needs to be. He's always did that in all his fights, even though after his fights, he might have slacked off and gained lots of weight and drank and shit like that. When he had a fight, he was all the way dialed in every fight. There was no guessing if he was going to make weight or not, even with the drinking and shit. You never had to guess if this man was going to make weight because when he starts to train for his fights, he's dialed in. And I think that this car accident has put that more onto him. I think it put more of that grit onto him because he could be gone. You hear him say that, how he's just grateful to be here, how he's here with his family and he's not worried about all that materialistic shit. He went and bought him some land and getting closer with his family, spending time with his daughters. You can hear his mentality from after this car accident, how humble he is. Now, he always been humble, but you can hear how aware of his life that it could have been gone in an instant. And boxing is something that he loves to do, so he gonna get in there and do it. Now, Danny Garcia, this is like another Carol Brook here because he's lost to both Keith Thurman and Sean Porter, the top welterweights. I'm just gonna say this is why I don't pick Danny Garcia, because when it's time for him to step up in competition or for the belts or whatever against top competitors, he always falls short. He had great fights with Keith Thurman and Sean Porter. Some people said that he took the win in those fights. But I think he doesn't do enough. I think he's one-dimensional and does not do enough. If he could pull some different tricks out of the bag that can help him with this Spence fight, then maybe it's a whole different thing. It's a whole lot of maybes in here because we just don't know. Because the things that are going on in the background of these fights for the build-up, it's just, you never know what's going to happen. You never know if Danny was like, yeah, fuck this shit. I'm tired of losing. let's do this shit. You know what I'm saying? Let's learn some new shit. Let's do some new shit. Let's do this. He could be feeling that type of way, and we're gonna see if he's gonna implement that in the fight. Now, my prediction, how I think the fight is going to go. I believe that Errol Spence is going to dominate Danny Garcia. And when I say dominate, I mean he's going to surprise Danny Garcia. Danny and Angel, they're banking on that he's not the same. They are banking on that he is not the same after this car crash. But I think Errol Spence Jr. is going to surprise him. And he shouldn't even be surprised, because Errol Spence is saying it this whole time that I am ready. I am ready. But obviously, Angel Garcia and Danny Garcia are not taking the man seriously. I don't think so. I really don't think so. Because they keep saying he's not 100%. Why do you keep saying that? You haven't even seen. You ain't been in the ring with him yet. You have not been in the ring with him yet to tell him he's not 100%. So how could you even say that? Listen, it'd be different if this man got into that car accident and actually broke, like, limbs or something and shit like that. No, this dude broke his teeth. He broke his teeth. No major shit was done to this man. He was threw out the car, which it's ultimately saved his life. He broke his teeth. So if anything, that's what Danny Garcia needs to aim for. He needs to punch Errol Spence in the mouth if you looking to take advantage of this car accident. But yes, I think they're banking on him not being there. But like I said, his teeth were broken. His body was fine. His head was fine. He had some scars and lacerations on his face, but that's not permanent damage. Look at him. He looks fine. If you looked at him, you wouldn't even know he'd been in a car accident. So I don't know why they're banking on that, but they're making it clear that's what they're banking on. But like I said, I think Errol Spence is going to surprise everybody. Surprise Danny Garcia. And I think he's going to dominate him. I think the first 2 rounds, maybe Danny Garcia gets off on those. But that's really hard to say, because Danny Garcia is never the one to, get first lick. He waits. He likes to counter punch. He likes to wait. And like I said, he could change that up this time. He could change that up, because on Trill Talk this morning, they were talking with the Black Fight Fan TV and 78 Sports TV. We're interviewing the strength and conditioning coaches of both Errol Spence Jr. and Danny Garcia. And Coach G, which is Danny Garcia's strength and conditioning coach, said that they're looking to get off first. They're looking to apply pressure. They're looking to be able to last and be able to punch first. That's what they say they're looking for. If Danny Garcia can do that, then he might, get some edges off. But we know how Errol Spence Jr. fights. We know how he's coming. We know he has different layers to him. So we'll just have to see what Danny Garcia does. But like I said, seeing them in their past fights, this is my prediction. I feel like Danny Garcia might get the first 2 rounds. Might. That's a big might. And I only say that because Errol Spence Jr. will have to be getting back in the wheel of things of fighting. And I think it's going to click in there. That 3rd round, it's over for Danny Garcia. And I'm not saying he's going to knock him out. I'm saying he's just going to class this man. Boxing him from the outside. Beating him to the punch on the inside. Going to the body. Making him cover up that body and then going back up top. I can see that from Errol Spence Jr. just mixing it up the whole time. And if this was to be a knockout, it's going to be by Angel Garcia throwing in the towel, because Errol Spence Jr. is going to just be taking off on this man. We know that Danny Garcia has a chin, so I don't really see any knockouts. If a knockout does come, I think it will be Danny Garcia to knock out Errol Spence. But like I said, I think that Errol Spence Jr. is going to dominate this man. Danny Garcia has proven his chin time and time again. Errol Spence, I would just have to agree that he has not really proven his chin. people say against Kell Brook and Sean Porter, those guys, they're not really punchers. I said that in my last video for my prediction with Terrence Crawford and Kell Brook. Kell Brook is he's a strong guy, but with his punching ability, he does not have power like a Danny Garcia or a Keith Thurman in a punching power. Sean Porter doesn't either. You know, he runs over guys. He's a mauler. He gives people more than what the fuck they can take. But punching, no. I don't see either one of those guys with extreme amounts of power when it comes to punching. Danny Garcia and Keith Thurman are on a whole different level. So we will see. And Terrence Crawford, their punching power is on a whole different level. Now we are going to see Errol Spence's chin get tested. And I think he has a solid chin, but this will really, really test how he can take a punch if Danny Garcia is even able to land clean. Because like I said, I don't know. I think Garcia will get some good left hooks in there, but not to the capability of knocking Errol Spence Jr. out. Might wake him up a little bit, but not knock him out or even hurt him. Like I said, I see this being a blowout. I see Errol Spence just showing us who he is, which is the truth. He is the truth. I believe this man when he's talking. It is what it is. I believe him especially when he brought up how he went and bought land and shit like that. Like, I commend that. Oh, he's taking a whole different step. People, life gives you those opportunities to turn your life around. And this was his. In other people's lives becomes differently. It could be going to jail, it could be losing a loved one, it could be anything. And this man is taking the opportunity, but still sticking by his word that he wants to fight the top competitors. And I commend that. And I'm not going against Errol Spence. Mainly because of that reason. I'm not going against him because he has the courage after that accident to fight somebody of a Danny Garcia who has power, who has everything to lose. This can make or break Danny Garcia. So it is what it is. This could be an emotional pick for me, whatever you want to call it, but also you got to look at their pedigrees. And I would still pick Errol Spence with or without the car accident. He could have been going, downhill with his, between fights and not drinking, like I said. But let's be clear, Danny Garcia puts on a lot of weight between fights too. Come on. He was fat as hell. I'm not going to call him fat. But he was looking a little hefty before this fight was announced. He was all on Instagram looking a little bit thick around the middle. So I'm not going to sit here and act like that only Errol Spence Jr. is doing that. All these fighters are doing that besides a select few. But Danny Garcia has that problem for sure. Okay, he has that problem for sure. He be smoking cigars and shit. He ain't no saint. Let's just put it that way. But like I said, I have Errol Spence Jr. dominating Danny Garcia, and if it does not go to the scorecards, I highly believe it's going to go to the scorecards, a unanimous decision for Errol Spence. But if it does not, Angel Garcia is going to be thrown in the towel for Danny Garcia. But we shall see, man. It's boxing. Boxing could go either way. I'm excited for this fight. This is a good one right here. Like I said, it's going to answer a lot of unanswered questions, and that's what we need in boxing. I'm not getting into the whole Terrence Crawford situation because it's hard. Terrence Crawford is my dude. That's my dude. Now, when we just talking boxing, I can run with Terrence Crawford all motherfucking day, but I cannot act like I don't see his politics, and I cannot act like I don't see him caping for Bob Arum. I cannot act like I don't see that. But this dude, he's from my city, so I'm gonna roll with him when it comes to his boxing skills and his capability to beat fighters in the ring. But other than that, I'm gonna leave it at that until after this fight. But you guys let me know what you think in the comment section. Like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you guys for watching. Peace.